This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org at www.librivox.org. Recorded by Mary, a.k.a. Breadchick, www.breadchick.com. Section 36. 25 Ways to Cook Sturgeon. Boiled Sturgeon, Recipe 1. Cover a cut of sturgeon with salted and acidulated water. Add an onion, 6 cloves, a slice of carrot, 3 bay leaves, a small bunch of parsley, and a cupful of wine. Simmer slowly until done. Drain and serve with some of the cooking liquor thickened with flour, browned in butter. Boiled Sturgeon, Recipe 2. Boil the fish in court bouillon and serve with drawn butter sauce. Broiled Sturgeon Steaks, Recipe 1. Parboil sturgeon steaks for 15 minutes, drain, wipe dry, season with salt and pepper, and broil. Serve with melted butter or maître d'hôtel sauce. Broiled Sturgeon Steaks, Recipe 2. Skin and soak for an hour in cold salted water. Drain, wipe dry, and soak for an hour in a marinade of oil and vinegar. Drain and broil. Serve with melted butter and lemon juice. Broiled Sturgeon Steaks, Recipe 3. Skin the steaks and soak in cold salted water for an hour. Drain, season, and broil, basting with melted butter as required. Season with melted butter and garnish with lemon quarters and parsley, or brown a tablespoonful of flour and butter, add half a cupful of cold water, and cook until thick, stirring constantly. Season with salt, lemon juice, Worcestershire sauce, or anchovy essence. Bring to the boil, pour over the fish, and serve. Fried Sturgeon, Recipe 1. Parboil slices of sturgeon in milk for 15 minutes. Drain, dip in a beaten egg, then in seasoned flour, and fry brown in butter. Fried Sturgeon, Recipe 2. Cut the fish into cutlets, dredge with flour, dip into egg and crumbs, and sauté in a frying pan. Drain off the fat, add a little flour, and cook to a smooth paste. Add boiling water to make a sauce, and cook until thick, stirring constantly. Season with grated onion, pepper, and salt, and sweet herbs. Reheat the fish in the sauce. Squeeze in half the juice of a lemon and serve. Fried Sturgeon, Recipe 3. Cut sturgeon steaks into small cutlets. Dip into egg and crumbs, fry in fat to cover, and serve with any preferred sauce. Baked Sturgeon, Recipe 1. Skin a large cut of sturgeon, parboil for 15 minutes, drain, cover with a marinade of oil and vinegar, and let stand for an hour. Gash the surface deeply and fill the incision with a force meat of breadcrumbs and minced salt pork, seasoning with lemon juice, pepper, and minced parsley, and adding enough melted butter to make it smooth. Cover and add enough boiling water to keep from burning, and bake, basting frequently. Baked Sturgeon, Recipe 2. Skin a large cut of sturgeon, parboil for 15 minutes, drain, and cool. Rub with a marinade of oil and vinegar. Cover and bake with enough water to keep from burning. Serve with caper sauce. Baked Sturgeon, Recipe 3. Skin a 6-pound cut of sturgeon and parboil for 20 minutes. Drain and put into a baking pan on a layer of thinly sliced bacon. Add enough boiling water to keep from burning and bake until done, basting often. Baked Sturgeon, Recipe 4. Skin a 6-pound cut of sturgeon, soak in salted water for an hour, drain, and parboil in fresh water. Make a stuffing of breadcrumbs, chopped salt pork, sweet herbs, and enough melted butter to make a smooth paste. Score the upper side of the fish deeply and fill the gashes with the stuffing. Put in a buttered baking dish with enough water to keep from burning, and bake for an hour, basting as required. Serve with drawn buttered sauce, seasoned with capers and ketchup. Baked Sturgeon, Recipe 5. Cover a buttered baking pan with thin slices of salt pork. Sprinkle with chopped carrot, turnip, and onion, and lay a thick cut of sturgeon upon it. Season the fish with salt, pepper, and lemon juice, and cover with thin slices of pork. Cook for 10 minutes, then add 1 cupful of boiling water and cook slowly, basting as required. Dredge with seasoned flour after each basting and add more boiling water if necessary. After the fish has cooked for an hour, remove the pork and drop it into the pan. Pour a wineglassful of sherry over the fish, spread with butter, and dredge thickly with flour. Bake until the fish is a rich brown color. Take out the pork and add enough boiling water to the liquid in the pan to make the required quantity of sauce. Thicken with butter and flour cooked together, strain, and serve with the fish. Sturgeon à la Cardinal. Clean 2 pounds of sturgeon, bind into shape with tape, and put it into a buttered saucepan with acidulated water to cover. Add an onion, 4 cloves, a blade of mace, a sliced carrot, and a bunch of sweet herbs. Simmer gently until the fish is done and serve with lobster sauce. Sturgeon à la Française. Skin and clean a 5-pound cut of sturgeon and tie into shape with strings. Put into a buttered saucepan with sliced carrots and onions, a bunch of parsley, 3 blades of mace, 3 cloves of garlic, and salt and pepper to season. Add red wine and white stock in equal parts to cover. Simmer until done, drain, and keep warm. Take enough of the strained liquid to make a sauce and thicken with butter and flour cooked together. Take from the fire, add a tablespoonful of anchovy essence, a dash of paprika, 2 tablespoonfuls of butter, and the juice of a lemon. Pour over the fish and serve. Sturgeon à la Normandie. Remove the skin from a 5-pound cut of sturgeon. Cover with thin slices of salt pork and tie into shape with a string. Put into a saucepan with sliced vegetables, 2 tablespoonfuls of butter, 1 cupful of white wine, 2 cupfuls of white stock, a little oyster or mussel liqueur, and salt and sweet herbs to season. Cover and cook slowly for an hour, basting with the liquid frequently. When done, drain the fish and keep warm. Strain the liquid, skim off the fat, thicken with a tablespoonful each of butter and flour cooked together. Take from the fire, add the yolks of 4 eggs beaten with the juice of a lemon and 2 tablespoonfuls of butter in bits. Take the pork off the sturgeon, pour the sauce over, and serve. Sturgeon à la Russe. Soak 2 pounds of sturgeon in salted water to cover for 10 or 12 hours. Drain and marinate in vinegar for an hour. Put it into a fish kettle with boiling water to cover, adding 2 onions, a bunch of sweet herbs, and a little salt. When nearly done, drain, dredge with flour, and brown in the oven, basting with melted butter. Bone and skin 2 anchovies and put them into a saucepan with a wineglassful of white wine, a small onion, a bit of lemon peel, and a cupful of stock. Boil for 5 minutes, strain, thicken with flour and butter cooked together. Take from the fire, add 2 tablespoonfuls of cream, and pour over the fish, or serve separately. Stewed sturgeon, Recipe 1. Marinate slices of sturgeon in vinegar for 10 minutes. Drain, dry, dredge with flour, and fry brown in hot fat. Add enough veal stock to cover the fish, and a wineglassful of Madeira. Cover and simmer for an hour. Add a tablespoonful of capers and serve. Stewed sturgeon, Recipe 2. Cut sturgeon steaks into small pieces and parboil for 15 minutes. Drain, season with salt and pepper, and cook slowly in butter until done. Add 1 cupful of milk, bring to the boil, and add 1 tablespoonful of flour rubbed smooth in a little cold water. Cook until thick, stirring constantly, and serve. Sturgeon steak, Recipe 1. Put a large sturgeon steak into a buttered baking pan with salt, pepper, sliced onion, a bunch of parsley, and some sweet herbs. Add claret and white stock to cover. Cover with a buttered paper and cook slowly until done. Drain and serve with any preferred sauce. Sturgeon steak, Recipe 2. Cover a sturgeon steak with boiling water. Let stand for 5 minutes and drain. Marinate for 5 hours in melted butter, lemon juice, and vinegar, seasoning with salt and pepper. Drain, Dip in egg and crumbs and fry in deep fat. Beat the yolks of 2 eggs and add a tablespoonful of made mustard and the marinade drained from the fish. Cook over hot water until thick, pour over the fish, and serve. Grilled sturgeon. Cut the sturgeon into slices an inch thick. Dip in flour, then into egg and crumbs, and broil, basting with oil as needed. Season with salt and pepper and serve with any preferred sauce. Panned sturgeon. Cut 2 pounds of sturgeon into squares, parboil, drain, and cool. Cook together 1 tablespoonful each of butter and flour. Add 2 cupfuls of milk and some of the liquid drained from the fish. Cook until thick, stirring constantly. Season with salt and pepper, pour over the fish, and serve. Pickled sturgeon. Skin a 6-pound cut of sturgeon and soak in cold water for half an hour. Drain, cover with boiling water, parboil for 15 minutes, drain, and cool. Bring to the boil 3 pints of vinegar, to which has been added a sliced onion, 2 bay leaves, a dozen cloves, 3 blades of mace, a tablespoonful of mustard seed, a dozen peppercorns, a small red pepper, and 2 tablespoonfuls of sugar. Boil for 15 minutes, pour over the sturgeon, and let stand covered for 2 or 3 days before using. Roasted sturgeon. Clean and skin a 6-pound cut of sturgeon. Season with salt and pepper, and wrap in a large sheet of buttered paper with carrots and onions sliced, 2 bay leaves, sprigs of chive and parsley, the juice of a lemon, and a tablespoonful of olive oil. Tie up and bake for an hour in a moderate oven. Unwrap the paper, take out the vegetables, and serve with any preferred sauce. End of section 36.